it to you. Today is Saturday, July 13th, 2024. And welcome to another episode of A Better Black America Talk Radio Show. And keep tapping in. Got a lot going on this summer. And we really going to make mama and them proud because of what we're doing and what we are going to pull off this year. Now, the Better Black America, we seek solutions and resolutions to create not only a better Black America, but a better world. Because if the Black Americans got their condition together, then the world will be a better place for all. So a better Black America is, we have to deal with the politics, because that's the only way monies, get moved around. That's the only way things happen in life, because the politics is something that America has invested in. And unless we make an educated decision to actually focus and play and have skin in the game, we're going to continue to go down a slippery slope. And that's the plan. Because as a race, our race is our grace, and we're going to have to embrace our race, because clearly, America has decided to invest in things other than race, sex, the trans, and all these things that's got going on, minority groups, but the original context of what's going on when it comes to slavery, it was all predicated on the color of our skin. And we went through some things, and in 1865, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, and next thing you know, in 1964, Lyndon B. Johnson played us. He pretty much used the science of Willie Lynch to make America what it is today, because he said when we get that Black woman in the house with us, we could sleep very comfortable at night. And I'm seeing it with my own eyes, because just this week alone, I saw Whoopi Goldberg on The View. Despite what's going on with with Joe Biden, despite what's going on in the political scheme of things, they're standing behind Joe. And when I say they're standing behind Joe, is the Black woman for sure, because she's invested her whole lifetime in the Democratic Party, because they are focusing on what we will call flesh. When I say focusing on what we will call flesh, meaning they have basically decided to focus on destroying Donald Trump, and in the process not knowing that we can possibly lose this great nation. Because if you didn't know, civilizations last approximately 250 years, and we're tinkering on 240 years. So if we don't change the game, if we don't pivot or make an adjustment, then there's going to be we're going to have blood on our hands. So we as a people really got to understand. But like I said, remember the debate with Joe Biden and Donald Trump a couple weeks ago, and they went on the political scenes and they started talking all this madness, talking about, oh, he had a bad day and all of that. Man, presidential people who are running for president and have the temperament to be a president, they don't make mistakes. They're perfect. And I'm going back to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and it started to change, after Barack Obama became president. Because when Hillary and Trump was running for president, there was some things going on, and there was a protest in the Carolinas that which is the motivation as to why we're going to be literally protesting this presidential election. Because this presidential election, we cannot sit back and allow this thing to happen. If you really want to, pay attention, the only time America really listens is when you hit that pocket, and when you literally boycott. Now, protesting, I'm not really talking about protesting, burning down buildings and things like that. I'm talking about boycotting the election, meaning the two-party candidates, meaning we have to vote hyper local. We have to vote for, our judges, our city council, our senators, our Congresses, and measures that's going to be on the ballot. But we have to make a decision that we will not be supporting this two-tier government. Because the group that I'm with, we started a third-party coalition, the Never Trump, Never Biden coalition, and hopefully we will be able to break the cycle of democracy here in this nation. Because newsflash, if you did not know, America is not a democracy. It used to be a democratic republic, but they lost the Civil War, and America is what we call a constitutional republic. And republic does not mean Republican. Republic means supreme power. So we are a constitutional republic, and democracy is the catalyst, because you can clearly see that democracy is the reason why this country is plummeting the way that it is. You can see why it's declining, because it's the Democrats that are literally anti-American. It's the Democrats that are literally anti-God, and it's the Democrats that are literally anti-male and female. Okay, the Bible says God made male, God made female, and anything that comes after that is literally made up. Okay, the pronouns, there's pronouns in the Bible. The Bible talks about, I will protect my people, I will save my people, I will bless my people. And then it goes and says, but they will be punished, and they and them will be destroyed. So the pronouns started long time ago. So this is a play that they're trying to, take away from the biblical context and make it into, put it into our daily lives, like they just made up something new and something special, because it all predicated and comes from the Bible. And if you did not know, Joe Biden, they know how to go back into history. They know how to go back and look at perfect speeches. Look how Drake and the Kendrick thing is getting exposed. And I saw a video where Drake basically had 50 songs where he pretty much copied, cut and paste, used lines from songs back in the day, just, flipped a little bit on a different beat or a different, tempo. But we sitting back rocking to it because I would say the verse was so phenomenal. He was able to use that. And then now he's being exposed. And now Biden, I'm not going to do it today, but there's a video out that I'm going to be showing where he pretty much used speeches back in the day, dating back to 1988. And he said something so strange over the weekend, at a rally. And he was talking to the union leaders. And he said, back in the 70s when I was a kid, and I'm sitting back like, this guy, somebody is forcing him to do this. And I know he don't want to do it. But think about it. He said in the 70s when he was a kid, I'm 53 years old. I was a kid in the 70s. So what is he talking about? What is he talking about? So somebody is making a educated decision because they want Joe Biden to basically destroy this country. It's not even about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the pawn on their chessboard because, they're so infatuated with a man. And here at A Better Black America, we're nonpartisan independents. We're a third party coalition, and we're going to make an educated decision leading up into November, which candidate that we're going to pretty much literally write in or rally behind. So we have to really have these conversations because this, like I said, this is bigger than humanity itself. This is a great nation, a beautiful country. And it seems that there is a group of people and a group of individuals who want to see this country be destroyed. Now, the president of the United States, which is Joe Biden, I will give you $1 if you, metaphorically, if you can send me anything of him saying at the end of the speech in recent years, and may God bless these United States. He said, God bless you all, and may God bless the troops. He's, like I said, he's a pawn on their chessboard. Any Fortune 500 company will not allow somebody with the mental stability that he has at his declining age. So how is it that if he cannot run a company or an organization, how is it even reasonable that he can actually run not only one of but the greatest nation in the world? Think about that. And like I said, it's not flesh and blood. Donald Trump is just literally caught in their trick bag. Donald Trump is Jamaica, Queens, New York. And Donald Trump's team has reached out to me thinking that, if I'm not supporting Biden, would you support Trump? And I told him absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's not even a dollar amount that I would actually take to basically promote Donald Trump. But what we are doing is pretty much abandoning America's so-called democracy. And when I say abandoning America's so-called democracy, America is a constitutional republic, and the Democratic Party continues to lie, continues to cheat. And if we just pay attention and look at the presentation and what they are giving us right now, it's clear that the party of slavery, the party of the Jim Crow South, and the science is literally coming out. And if you did not know, if you don't understand the science of Willie Lynch was a Southern, he came to the Americas to basically teach the Southern slaveholders how to make a slave. And to keep a long story short, he basically said, once we, get into the mind of the woman and condition her mind, she will raise her children, differently. She will make her strong, aggressive son, weak and feeble minded, but she will raise her daughter to be aggressive. So you can see why we have a large lesbian push in the black culture, in the black community, and a large gay push in the black culture as well, because this is the science of Willie Lynch. Okay. And Willie Lynch said it himself. Once we get the woman in the house with us, we'll be able to sleep better at night. And I'm saying this to make a point because Whoopi Goldberg on The View, I'm not sure if it was this week or last week, and you all know Whoopi Goldberg, the black female on The View, and any black female whose last name is Goldberg, that's suspect and questionable as well. She basically said she does not care. This is the black woman. Look at the science of Willie Lynch. He said, if I could get the black woman in the house, and if I could get her on my side, I can actually win, because black women have a large influence in the community. She said, in regards to Joe Biden, I quote, "I don't care if he poops his pants. I don't care if he pisses himself. He is still better than Donald Trump, and that's who I'm voting for." And I sat back and said, wow, this is sad. They've taken this thing to a whole nother level. The Democratic Congress and Senate and Democratic donors are literally walking away from Biden. There is a Democratic super PAC that has a sum of $90 million that they literally said that they're going to put on hold right now, that he does not have access to and he's not going to use. And that Democratic super PAC, that 90 million will be earmarked for his replacement. But then you have Whoopi Goldberg saying she don't care if he poops his pants and all of that. And then upwards to 19 Democratic Congress and Senate Democratic leaders have pretty much went on record and said that Joe Biden should step down. One of the major donors, George Clooney, said Biden should step down. But then you have the black woman supporting massa, because that's what it is. Okay, we are looking at the end of the Southern strategy. We are looking at the end of the Dixiecratic movement. We are looking at the end of democracy as we know it. If you did not know, the 1964 Civil Rights Act was signed on July 2nd of 1964. Why did we not commemorate 60 years? Why didn't we not have extravaganza or a party to basically says the Civil Rights Act was signed 60 years later? Because we just celebrated 60 years of pride and 60 years of women empowerment. Let that sink in. So when you follow the data, when Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Acts, they put sex in there as well as race, but they doubled down on sex. So how did we just have all of these parades, all of these rallies, here in LA? Ricky Martin performed. They had one downtown LA. They had the one in WeHo, West Hollywood. And pretty much they did not even sponsor Juneteenth events, which is okay. How is it that they're celebrating 60 years of women empowerment? Because in the Civil Rights Act, women wanted to be empowered. They wanted their rights to vote. They wanted their special protections and all of that. And when you talk about women's rights, the Women Lives movement is ran by white women. So you can actually check that box and throw that to white supremacy. The sex card, LGBTQ, lesbians are white, queers are white, but this is the key, the gays. When you empowered the gay movement, that includes white men, another one to white supremacy. So now when we sit here 60 years later from the Civil Rights Acts being signed, and I'm sure 90% of you did not even know that they were signed on July 2nd of 1964, because they want to basically hide that information, because when you look at the data, that is the date that the black nuclear family was destroyed. That is the date that the black community began to expire. That is the date when they started enlisting black men into Vietnam, putting them on the front line, the heroin movement, the AIDS epidemic. Then here comes crack, drugs, and everything under the sun. And now we're sitting here 60 years later, and they telling us that we're not black anymore. We're supposed to be, have pride, when pride is the number one deadliest sin out of the 7 deadliest sin. Pride. We're proud to be American. I'm proud to be a man, and I'm proud to be who God made me. So we're basically dealing with proud versus pride. Proud is God, pride is the devil. So we're dealing with some factions out there that are literally anti-God. And when they talk about anti-Semitic, they're anti-Christ. Okay, because Christ was an alpha male Israelite Jew, and they're Jewish, and you see what's going on in Gaza and all of these things like that. So, man, this is crazy. And then when you have the woman influencing, back to the Willie Lynch, Whoopi Goldberg said she don't care if he poops his pants. She don't care if he pisses himself. She's still going to vote for him. But super PACs are holding their dollars. Democrats are piling up when it comes to concerns. Hakeem Jeffries had a private meeting. Nancy Pelosi went on record and would not go on record and say what she thought, but she basically said it's up to the president. But then you have a black woman who basically says she don't care if he poops his pants. She don't care if he pisses himself. And then this is even worse. I'm from California, and one of my favorite rappers was E40. And I said was. E40 was in Raleigh, South Carolina, and him and Fat Joe went to a rally in support of Joe Biden. I unfollowed E40. I'm pro. Like I said, he's underground rap, so his record sales don't mean anything. But I sat back and said, why would this brother do that? And then on his Instagram, he basically said, Biden 2024, and I'm standing on it. But this is a kicker, y'all. The kicker is he did not. Well, they deleted the comment section. I've never seen this on Instagram. He said Biden 2024, and I'm standing on it. But when I went to find a comment tab, there was no comment. So if you're standing on it, why did you not allow comments? Because he knew the truth. And why would they have a West Coast rapper from Oakland go all the way to Raleigh, South Carolina? Because Joe Biden can't even fill a gymnasium up when he has his rallies. And that's crazy. So these are, like I said, this is when you sell your soul. But, out of respect to E40, he have Earl Stevens wines and, goon with a spoon. So I know that it was something, profitable. They probably gave him a bag. They probably gave him some money for it. I understand. And then Fat Joe, he ain't fat no more, but he's from New York. And, you got the Joe Budden's podcast, you got Cameron and Mace and all of that. So he basically trying to get in where he fit in. And like I said, at the end of the day, he not black, he's a Puerto Rican. So maybe that was the play, to have a Puerto Rican and, a brother from Oakland in Raleigh, South Carolina. That was the craziest thing for me. And I thought about it. I said, when he come to California, why won't E40 go out and hang out and promote him out here? Oh, he didn't get the invitation because when they out here, it's a pride thing. It's a LGBTQ movement, so like I said, the game is chess, not checkers. But all I'm saying is game is over. The game is over. Because like I said, I put in the caption, what them gonna do? What are they gonna do next? If they're talking about Joe Biden leaving the candidacy, who's gonna replace him? Here on Better Black America TV, Better Black America Talk Radio Show, we seek solutions and resolutions. What is the solution and resolution to Joe Biden stepping down? Who's going to replace him? There's not a human being on the planet that can actually poll close to Donald Trump than Joe Biden. Gavin Newsom went on record and said he has not thought about it, which makes my spider senses pop up. and basically said that might not be true because, that's the bait and switch. I'm sure Gavin Newsom has been approached. I'm sure he's been talked to, but politically, I don't think he can win, the delegates in southern states and Midwest states, because like I said, he's a Californian, he's Gavin Newsom, he has to speak on, the crime in this state. He has to speak on the homeless population. He has to speak on all of these things. So I don't think from a national perspective, but who would be basically able to compete with Trump on the Democratic side? So this is why we as a people, we got to abandon the ship right now, and we got to let go and let God, because at the end of the day, we do not have skin in the game. When you have a two-party system, Crips and Bloods, Republicans and Democrats, the red and blue fighting against each other, there has to be an adult in the room. There has to be a mediator in the room, whether it's a mediator or a judge. So this election, we get a chance to basically sit on the sidelines and make sure the election is not rigged or stolen. This is why we have to vote. Okay. They always say, yeah, our ancestors, they fought hard and the Republicans are trying to take away your right to vote. That is a lie. The Democratic Party used fear tactics and all of that, because when you look at the Willie Lynch, why did Willie Lynch kill the biggest, strongest, most aggressive slaves in front of the slaves, in front of the, his slaves? Is because he was afraid. So they're literally afraid of us. They're literally afraid of unity. They're literally afraid of the black community, stepping up and becoming more conscious. And this is the word that they use, woke. We want to unify the country because black is an acronym for all the races, not the ethnicities. Black, Latin, Asian, Caucasian, kinsman. Kinsman meaning, related. So we need to get on the same sheet of music. And if you did not know, and I know some of you have, on the, voter registration, there's a no party preference. And the only dangers to that is you cannot vote in any primaries. That's why I'm still a registered Democrat, because I still vote in the primaries, but I'm what you call a non-partisan independent. Okay. And the third party coalition, we're going to keep on working together. And we have our candidate. Our candidate is a write-in candidate, which is Jesus Christ. Okay. There's RFK. I don't know if he's going to be on the ballots, and he's running, I believe, from the I think the Independent Party, American Independent Party. Dr. Cornel West is running for the Green, I think, let me see here. They changed so much, but Dr. Cornel West, he's going to be on the ballot in, as of now, 26 states. His running mate is Melina Abdullah. And if you did not know, Melina Abdullah is the co-chair of Black Lives Matters here in the state of California. So Black Lives Matters will not be supporting the Democratic Party this time around, because you got to pay attention. The Democratic Party used Black Lives Matters to beat Trump. Look at the George Floyd situation and all of that went on, and going on with COVID, and the basketball courts have Black Lives Matters all over the place. But where are they now? They got hijacked. See, when you're dealing with pride versus proud, talent versus no talent, pride will do anything to win. No talent will steal your ideas and make it seem like it is theirs. Because what happened to Black Lives Matters? Black Lives Matters was 100% behind Joe Biden, but where they at right now? Think about that. So this is why we got to just be who we are, understand that we don't have skin in the game, that we cannot be caught in a crosshair between these two rivaling tribes. You guys are going to have to settle your differences and make this election about Trump supporters versus Biden supporters, since it's about flesh. Okay, it shouldn't be about flesh. Okay, because the word says it's not power, it's not flesh and blood, it's powers and principalities, evildoers in high places. But since they have made it about the flesh, let's see the MAGA Republicans support their MAGA king, and let's see the Biden supporters support Biden, and we'll just sit back, vote hyper local, and we'll write in our candidate. And as of now, Jesus Christ is the main third party option. But you do have individuals running that are running campaigns, raising money. So we're going to allow them to continue to do that. But we are still going to lobby and talk to their constituents and see if we can actually flip the script. Because instead of, the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, Peace and Freedom Party, American Independent Party being at the bottom with just 3%, like Gary Johnson was with Trump and Hillary, just 3%. And then with Trump and Biden was no third option. And I don't even know who came. I don't even think anybody got a percentage in that election. But in this election, we want Jesus Christ to bring it up, to bring up the rear, that third party. Because if you didn't know, in 2016, the protest vote in the Carolinas, they basically wrote in D's nuts, DEEZ nuts, NUTS. And D's nuts got 9% in South Carolina. And if you don't believe me, do your due diligence, fact check that and look it up. And Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump by 4 points. So literally D's nuts got Donald Trump to win the delegates in the state of South Carolina. Think about that. So if these nuts could get 9% in South Carolina, I truly believe we could get Jesus Christ to trend in the double digits. Like Dr. King said, I had a dream, that he trended, 20+%. And if he does that, no matter who the sitting president is, that means we are a constitutional republic, and we'll take that constitution with us. And on Inauguration Day, we will be there with the Constitution, which says we the people. And when they say, who are you? We are the 20% that wrote in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Whether you believe in him or not, roll with us. I'm a true believer. And then we'll be able to sit down and talk about the conditions that's going on in America, because they have to get this thing out. Okay, because the civil rights the Civil War, should have ended it all, but they extended it. So we have to end this story so there will not be a sequel. We got to end this story so there will not be a sequel. So they made it about flesh and blood. So this is between, as of now, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Let them go ahead and get that farewell, because we're not Trump supporters, and clearly we're not Biden supporters. And the Democratic Party has, did a terrible job in working with the people, because they decided to invest in the flesh. And now you have these MAGA Republicans who love Donald Trump, who ran up in a White House for him, who's basically rallying and doing all that they do, for him. But on the Joe Biden side, just crickets. He can't even fill a gymnasium. And his two number one supporters are who supports Biden and went on record. You ready for this? E40, a rapper, underground rapper from Oakland, and Whoopi Goldberg, a black woman with a Jewish last name. Go figure. Those are the two major people that went out on record. I call it career suicide, but black people could care less. We'll get over it. But that's career suicide for the average individual to basically, support a lost cause, because you have a super PAC withholding $90 million, waiting for the next replacement. And then you have 19 Democrats who have been on record, elected officials, whether it's senators or Congress people, that already went on record that says that he should step down. So this thing is crazy. So they're going to have that fair one. Let's get flesh out the way. Let's end democracy as we see it. And let's go ahead and get, that third party option to get that 20+%. So on Inauguration Day, we'll be able to go to the inauguration and have a conversation with the sitting president, no matter who it is, because we didn't support you. And based on our third party coalition, you are the reason why you are in office. And now we can have this conversation, because this is how it goes. I never hear the Republicans say, we got to beat Joe Biden. No, they say we got to beat the swamp. We got to beat, the what's the terms that they use? The state. What is it? The domestic state. We got to beat the scared state. What is it? Determine. It'll come back to me. I'm having a Biden moment, but we really got to understand what's really going on. So when the deep state, there it is. We got to beat the deep state and all that. They don't say we got to beat Biden, but when you look at the Democrats, we got to beat Donald Trump. We got to beat Donald Trump. So it's literally their focus on the flesh. So after we get rid of that flesh, we'll have an opportunity to have a coalition and to go on record. So when they say we got to beat Donald Trump, we got to, beat this, and we got to beat the deep state. So we have an opportunity as human beings to say, listen, we got to beat poverty. We got to beat illegal immigration. We got to beat crime. We got to beat the destructive non-educational system. we got to beat these powers and principalities. So we need to do this. And this is our moment in time to make it happen. So literally, let's truly understand. And we are nonpartisan independents. You know, we got to pray about it, because when this happens, democracy will end and we will be able to embrace theocracy. And theocracy is ruled by God, and democracy is ruled by the devil. Look at the root word demon, demon, diablo, or devil. Any Spanish person say yes, demonio. Okay, and the word crat in the Greek is to rule or rule by. Now, if somebody go get their, want to be a minister or a preacher, they go to theology school. We've had theology classes in college, and theo means God, ology means the study of. So we're bringing in a new political party, the nonpartisan independents, going to be known in history as the Theocrats, meaning we have a theocratic party which is not associated with this two-tier government, which is pretty much a moral compass for the greatest nation. And the reason God has not come and destroyed this nation is because of good individuals such as myself and you that are not a part of the situation. Because he said, if you could give me 2 or 3 of them, I'm gonna hold out. But this election, we have to go on record and not only show the world, but show God who we stand by. Because if this was the days of Egypt, if this was the days, with the Israelites and trying to escape Egypt, we got to put the blood of the lamb on our doors so the famine to go by our house. So writing in Jesus Christ will be our only hope moving forward. So we really got to dive in. And anytime I do the Better Black America Talk radio show, we're going to be focused more on the politics. When you see the BL Glover show, that's when we're going to just be doing entertainment, sports, politics, and money. So go ahead and hit those likes and hit those notifications, because when we go up, we go up. And I like satire. So we're going to be talking sports. We're going to be talking entertainment, obviously politics, and obviously we're going to be talking about the money. So now that we look at Joe Biden, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what them going to do, but, people on my team is telling me that, these are staged events, that when it looks like he's at a rally and those cameras, pull back, it's pretty much nobody in the room. And this is probably why when he had the debate against Donald Trump, that there were no people in the audience, because maybe he gets triggered with that. And then there's some other information, and I'm going to get into these comments. Project 2025. There's some talking points of a right wing, of a group, and they trying to make it seem like what Trump's going to do when he becomes president. And a lot of them are extreme, and some I do agree with, but we're going to start talking about those, as topics, and breaking it down and peeling that layer back like we peel a banana, and seeing what's going on, what's good and what's not. So like I said, it's not flesh and blood, it's powers and principalities, but this election, they made it about flesh, because the Democrats say themselves, we got to beat Trump. And their biggest promoters of the party is E40 and Whoopi Goldberg. So like I said, I like E40, but like I said, that's literally, not even a sellout or Uncle Tom. That's what you call Sambo, because maybe he really don't know. But I do understand that, he got businesses. Earl Stevens Wine will probably, the deal was we'll put you in the wineries. And then he has Goon with a Spoon. Like like how Master P has cereal and ice cream, stuff like that. I'm sure they basically going to cut him a deal with some people. So let me go ahead and get in these comments, man. I appreciate y'all. Let me see here. David, judged by actions, not by Republican or Democrats. They all are guilty. You're 100%. And we know Trump is guilty, David. That man got 34 felonies, what I'm saying? But the thing about it is, we got people with 1 and 2 felonies and got 3 strikes, and they still in prison. But Donald Trump walked out of the courtroom, went and jumped on the airplane with his name on it, and went to a house called Mar-a-Lago, which he basically says costs how much he want to say it costs. Think about that, because that was the crime. Basically, making his properties, putting more profit on it so he could get business loans, in which he actually paid back. But you're right. There's no, nobody's innocent. So this is what I mean by they made it about flesh. So now it's about Trump versus Biden, when it should be about righteousness versus unrighteousness. It should be, God versus the devil. It should be proud versus pride, because we know they wouldn't stand a chance if we focused on righteousness. And that's real. Let me see here. You know, why they earmark money that they have a legal way to skim until. And that's by, let me see, David as well. So I truly believe, and I'm going to be totally honest with you, I think it's all a money laundering scheme. I think they got Biden in office to basically, you know, to release all of these monies, because how is it possible that they can give Ukraine $95 billion to split up with Israel, not Ukraine, but Israel to split up with Taiwan and Ukraine, and there's only approximately 78 billion people on the planet, 7.8 billion people on the planet. So they literally could have gave everybody $1 billion in the world, but somehow we sent monies to these countries. And if you really think about it, when these things happen, there's always a House Speaker or always somebody high in the Senate or Congress that takes a trip over there and pretty much get the money back. So it's, like I said, it's a scam, and it's all predicated on what we call democracy. It's all predicated on what we call democracy, and that's real. So let me see here, Ross. What's happening, Ross? Ross is Cornell West. And see, like I said, third party coalition, I have no problem. So please, you are one of us. If you're going with Dr. Cornell West, that's a beautiful thing. You know, so hit the subscription, hit the notification, because when we have these conversations, we will be focusing on the third party option candidates. So you'll get a chance to hear, you know, Jill Stein. You'll get a chance to hear, you know, the Green Party candidate, and we'll pretty much put it all in a box. And more importantly, we're literally, if you're considering Dr. Cornell West, you know, if you want to be with the winning team that's going to win in its third party option, you probably will consider writing in Jesus Christ. But you are one of us. You're never Trump, never Biden. We're going to keep on doing our thing. So let me see here. Let me see in these comments. Lying to the black community since the beginning. Man, that's Jim Crow. That's Jim Crow. That's Willie Lynch. That's the, you know, using blacks as a pawn on their chessboard. This is why they got rid of, you know, black power and invested in pride. Because remember, in the 60s, you know, the decade where they signed the Civil Rights Acts, we was saying it loud, we was black and we was proud and all of that. And then all of a sudden, what happened? Now we're, you know, you can't even get on with the Democrats unless if you're a black man, you got to be gay. And if you're a black woman, you got to be single and angry and basically be willing to support massa more than you support yourself. So it's the craziest thing ever, because they use us every 4 years, and somehow, some way, we don't understand that. This is why God is enlightening us, and God has allowed them to basically run themselves into a wall, because now it's all about flesh and blood. It's not powers, principalities, evildoers in high places. This is what we call flesh and blood. Trump versus Biden, and neither one of them will be getting the black vote. Now, I know there's some black Democrats, you know, that's flipping to the Donald Trump side. God bless you. But depending on the state that you live in, I get it. But in a state like California, I don't know no Republicans. You know, I don't know no Republicans running up in no home invasions. I don't know no Republicans, you know, gang banging. I don't know no Republicans, you know, cheese grating cars by the 105 freeway. I don't know no Republicans that's, you know, vandalizing the hood. You know, this is Democrats. So this is why we literally have to break ourselves from their party, but we're not going to run to that other party. And think about that. And then let me see here. Paul basically put, what about Clooney? You know, it would be like Ronald Reagan, you know. And listen, Clooney is basically one of Joe Biden's major donors. And Clooney, say about 3 weeks ago, the Democratic Party raised approximately like $30 million in just one weekend. And I saw some reports, and I'm speaking to Paul, I saw some reports where, you know, it was the largest fundraising weekend in Democratic history. You know, Barack Obama was there. I think, let me see here, Bill Clinton pulled up, you know, a lot of actors and actresses, you know, and then a few weeks later, Clooney to go on record and says he needs to step down. Think about that. He must have really saw something when he met Joe, but then the presidential debate with Donald Trump, he looked so bad. And like I said, when you know things like this happen, they're on the decline. And I heard a funny joke, and they said Joe Biden is a first and only president or human being to have a job while under hospice care. So they look in the room every day. Oh, he's woke, but he's on hospice care. So think about that. Let me see here. Anyone under 60 beats Trump. Well, and that's let me see here. Mike, musician. They could beat him physically, but will they rally behind him? That's the crazy thing about it. And this is why, it's not even a popular vote that wins the presidency. It's the delegates. You have to win each state. Because if it was a popularity poll, somebody like Beyonce and Jay-Z with 100 billion or 100 million Instagram followers can actually win, Taylor Swift can win. But when you talk about the electoral college, this is why you have to resonate in all 50 states. And this is why, with the gerrymandering, the redlining and all of that, they break these counties up. And this is how they protect the country from being overtaken by individuals or being overtaken by, popularity, people who are not qualified and people who shouldn't be running. So, yeah, and that's real. Let me see here, sounding like a victim, what are you doing to fix it? That's a great question. So here on the Better Black America, and that's for, let me see here, Corner for a Healthy Diet. Here at Better Black America, our whole mission statement is we seek solutions and resolutions to create a better America. And I'm believing that you're alluding to them wanting to get Biden to step down, but what's the fix? Who's going to replace him? That's a great question. I appreciate that, because if you don't have a replacement, then how can you continue to tell him to step down? So at least give us your Fab Five, and let the Democratic convention make the decision on who they can give their delegates to, because we're, in a day and time where history, is pretty much on the ballot, on the balance right now, because we're going to look back 20, 30 years from now and say, wow, look what happened in 2024. It changed the game. The Democratic Party ended, or the Democratic Party revamped. The Democratic Party ended and theocracy came in. The two-party system ended. Now this is a constitutional republic. Now we don't want to beat a man or beat a woman or beat Trump or beat Biden. We want to beat crime. We want to beat poverty. We want to beat mass incarceration. We want to beat a lot of things. So with that being said, man, that is a great question or comment. Let me see. I could care less about lizards. Okay, me too. Let me see here. What country isn't? Let me see. Okay, I guess you guys are having the conversations amongst yourselves in there. Let me see here. Let's go. Let me see here. Okay. So basically, listen, man, Biden has totally lost the plot. And I think I'm going to end with that one. Biden has totally lost the plot, and that's by SP. And I agree with you 100%, but you're going to have, these Sambos and these coons and these bedwench and concubines. And I'm referring to E40 and Whoopi Goldberg, because their job is to somehow to force the slaves to vote for Massa. Think about that. You got Whoopi Goldberg, a black woman named Goldberg, saying that she don't care if he shits himself. She don't care if he pisses his pants, that she will be voting for him and he's better than Donald Trump. And then you had E40, and thank you, somebody did put in the comments, went to a rally in Raleigh, South Carolina, E40 that is, and said that he basically, is supporting Biden. He's going to stand on it. But somehow, for the first time in my life, I wasn't able to comment on a post on Instagram. So somehow they took away the comment section. So if you were standing on it on business, you should have allowed the comments, because I guarantee you, they were so negative that it hurt your feelings. Now, let me see here. Jim Barbella. Let me see here. I wish we could agree to disagree with civility. Then we could work together to make the government work better for all of us. And I agree. And this is why we got to support, the third party option this year, because democracy is the catalyst. Because if you didn't understand, and if you look at the data, democracy means that you have to have an opposition. Democracy means that you got to fight. That's democracy. You only hear the Democratic Party say Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy. Donald Trump is a threat to their rulership, when the country should not be ruled. The country is by definition a constitutional republic. A constitutional republic. And the Constitution states, it says, we the people. We're not supposed to be getting governed like a banana republic, okay? Like a parliament. No, we the people supposed to sit back and decide, bring measures up, vote on them, and then when we vote them into law, the president just simply signs them into law. But we have a banana republic. We have the Congress. We have the Senate. They have to argue and they debate and they throw, stones at one another, and they keep us, pretty much entertained with the chaos. But it's not, it can never work, because what you're saying is the only way we can work together if we agree to agree. And if we agree that we're going to end democracy as we know it, embrace theocracy as a nonpartisan independent party or a legislative block of people, then America could actually be the constitutional republic that it is. So we'll basically say, what are we going to do about crime? Come up with a solution and then put that in the law. What are we going to do about poverty? Because we want to end poverty. So no matter how we get there, if we make a decision, we want to end poverty, not have a war on poverty, but end it. If we want to end poverty, we'll come up with legislation, draw it up, put it on the ballot, vote about it, and stop it. And then we'll go back and say, wow, we ended poverty. We ended crime. We ended, the mass incarceration. We ended the open border system, meaning immigrants could just walk up in this country and pretty much start pillaging, home invasion, and killing and robbing and doing whatever in our country. But see, that's what the Democrats don't want us to do or have, because if they did not exist, that's exactly what we're going to have. Because if you see, it's the Democrats that want to protect, the old way of living. We want to protect slavery. We want to protect, what we have. And this is why in the 1964 Civil Rights Act, this is why, Lyndon B. Johnson basically said, if we're going to give them everything that they want, so we might as well put them with us. And this is the way we will be preserved. Because 60 years later, July 2nd of 2024, 60 years later, the data is basically saying that they literally got rid of us. Okay. And then they focus on sex, which includes white women, white men, and anything under the sun. But we got to basically end racism as a whole by basically, coming together as a people, agreeing to agree that we're going to amend the 13th Amendment, which says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, unless criminalized. We want to take the criminalization clause off of the Constitution, because the criminalization clause is literally the slavery clause, because they used that clause to rebuild the South on free labor at the end of the Civil War. So we got to agree. And I totally understand. And that's a great question. That is a great question. Okay, so like I said, I'm with you on that one. Let me see here. I'm going through the questions. I'm trying to filter them out. Let me see here. Matthew Tucker. Every 4 years, we have a presidential election, and we should have it 10 to 15 national ballot measures baptize Congress. People always get it right. Okay, let me see here. Every 4 years, we have a presidential election that should have 10 to 15 national ballot measures. Okay, I understand what you're saying. So every 4 years, there should be 10 to 15 ballot measures on the federal level that will affect the nation in a great way. Okay, I understand that. So you are totally right. But the only way we can actually make any changes, and I have to be brutally honest with you, is that we abandon the two-party system and we end democracy as we see it. Because the Democratic Party cannot continue because it's the anti-American party. That's what is coming in to see. That's what we're starting to see. And that's basically what it is. Because why is it that the Democrats are anti-God? Okay, they're anti, peace. Look what's going on. You got a Democratic president and Joe Biden, and look what's going on in the world. Think about that. America is a constitutional republic, and the only way it will become what it's supposed to be is if we end American democracy as we know it. And by default, that's literally the Democratic Party. And if you did not know, the black man has abandoned the party. Most of them went over to Trump. The third party coalition, we're writing in Jesus Christ. The Latino community has abandoned, if you look at the stats, has abandoned the Democratic Party. So the Democratic Party is literally the lost cause party. And they're literally have an old elderly man on the ballot that basically is, he's not well, but somehow, they're forcing him to continue to do what he's doing. And it appears to be staged. So we really got to figure this thing out, come together as a people. There's a never Trump, never Biden coalition, but all the Democrats that are leaving the party, we have to write in, Jesus Christ as our candidate. And then you have other third party options as well. Let me see here. Absolutely abandon the two-party system. Let me see what public funding elections. Listen, there's no, this is why, they said the revolution will not be televised. There's so much going on in the background that we have no clue about, but this is why social media, this is why YouTube has become, a strong communities, why they have become strong places of where people can actually come together and understand, because the Constitution says we the people. And this is why these public platforms are here today, because the news, is pretty much liberal, owned by Jewish, and they're literally Democratic, and they're going to just follow the trend, because the NATO speech here in LA was on all the major networks, but the debate was only on CNN. Okay, so they know it's must-see TV. So to basically, take our platforms from us and start having the talking points so they could get the views on their stations, that's what they're doing. Because I got a few viral reels about Joe Biden and his gaffes, and all I basically did was did some voice behind it, pretty much cut and clipped at one of his funny faces. And now, after the debate, I woke up and I looked, and that's what, Channel 5 was doing. All the other channels was doing, and it tripped me out. So we are literally, leading the charge. We are all on our white horse, crown and bow, winning many battles and victory, because they're basically reacting and we're being proactive. So this two-tier government, this duopoly, has to come to an end. And it's crazy how we, the people, will do it. And it's crazy how, we as the descendants of this American slave trade got an opportunity to basically do away with massa. And that's literally the Democratic Party. Okay. And that's crazy. Let me see here. I mean, Trump is 50 years past the sell by date, and that's nothing special before that. You 100%, but like I said, I got an older elder, and he be around the church that I attend, and he's 84, and he gets up and work out, and he's cognitively, mentally there. And he basically said, they're basically hiding some. Joe Biden got dementia and Alzheimer's. He said, I'm older than Joe Biden right now. I just ran 3 miles, worked out, I'm going to get my coffee. I'm going to go to the grocery store later. And he's pretty much, fit. But Joe Biden, I mean, he, like I said, he's, he's not well, and they're not really being honest with us. He's not well, and they're not being honest with us. So let me see here. Matthew Tucker, you riding with Biden? Okay, so I love you, saying, so you can actually ride with Biden, and it's going to be, you riding with Biden with E40 and Whoopi Goldberg versus the MAGA Republicans, because your brother right here and this third party option, we will not be supporting either of the two candidates, because the Constitution says we can actually do that. And Mr. Tucker, when people sit back and say, our aunt, especially the women, your mama, your grandma, when they tell you, oh, no matter what, we gotta vote for Biden, we don't want Trump in there. Listen, all they're basically saying is, they literally understand the science of Willie Lynch. They've made, lived their entire lifetime supporting the Democratic Party. So it's been advantageous and beneficial to them. But moving forward as a people, it's not beneficial for us today and beneficial for our future. And then they'll make you feel guilty a little bit. You love them, and they'll sit back and say, our ancestors fought for the right to vote, so we got to vote. Okay, our ancestors fought for the right to vote for whoever they so shall choose. That was the issue. Prior to the 1964 Civil Rights Acts and prior to the 1964 Voting Rights Acts, the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which came a year later, blacks were voting Republican because the Republican Party emancipated the blacks, and the Southern Dixiecratic states supported slavery, Jim Crow, and all of that. In Chicago, there was no whites only. In New York, there wasn't no whites only. There was no Jim Crow. It was what they call chattel racism and black codes, meaning, you know, you live in your community, you can be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, but you got your black community, it could be thriving, whatever, but just keep that over there. But in the South, you could not, you know, walk, you know, the sundown towns and, you know, all of the water hosing and the blowing up of the little black girls. You know, Matthew Tucker, I can't ride with a party whose descendants did that, whose ancestors did that to my people. But the blacks in 1965, when Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, he literally put us on to make us think that they supported us, but they rather put us on than lose us. So when you say you're riding with the Democratic Party, that means you're riding with the Dixiecratic South. You're riding with the party of slavery. You're riding with the man who wrote the 94 crime bill, Mr. Tucker, who wrote the 94 crime bill. And when I saw what he said, before they kill me, before they kill you, your daughter, your son, they're going to be in jail. And these are not ordinary humans. These are super predators. Hillary Clinton got that super predator comment from Joe Biden. Think about that. He wrote the 94 crime bill, and then they turned around and said that they know it wasn't right, but this is how they trick us. So when you riding with Biden, that means you're not practicing your freedom and your liberties, because you're pretty much acting as if you're still on the plantation and you have to support massa. So between me and you, Mr. Tucker, I'm basically saying, you know, I'm a 6'3", 230, you know, brother, articulate, could communicate. So I make massa real nervous. So he want to kill me. Okay, he don't want me on this plantation. So I got to get up out of there, because if I was on a plantation with you, I'll have that thing on my neck. You know, I'll have lashes on my back just to show you to be a good boy and vote for massa. And like, at the end of the day, you got to understand, Mr. Tucker, the Democratic Party don't love us. They don't love us. They need us to exist. So when you say you're riding with Biden, you know, really think about that. OK, because like I said, the Constitution, you know, is what it is. And our ancestors, they did not fight to be Democrats. They fought to be free and to vote for who they so shall choose. But it was Lyndon B. Johnson with the Civil Rights Act. He said it himself. Bring in those nigga leaders, Dr. King and everybody else. Bring them in. And I'm going to give these niggas everything they want. I'm going to have these niggas voting Democratic for the next 100 years. And you still rocking with the party 60 years later, knowing the data, which is cool. That's your right. But you got to understand and agree to disagree with your brothers. This is why we are abandoning the party, because 60 years after the Civil Rights Act was firm, you know, we're not black and proud. You know, we're African-American and gays and lesbians in one of the wackest communities. You know, we're not even a race anymore. They just changed us. So we really got to understand what's going on. So our ancestors did not fight to be Democratic. They fought to vote for who they so shall choose. So we're going to basically, you know, express our constitutional rights and vote, but we're going to write in a third party option, and ours is Jesus Christ. I see somebody else that's going to, you know, vote for Dr. Cornel West. I know there's going to be individuals vote for RFK, and depending on what state you in, you know, there might be 30 candidates on the ballot. They are not our only two options, but they are the ones that they're giving the blacks. They're force feeding it to us. So I can't support it. And then from a biblical perspective, you know, while we're writing in Jesus Christ, Mr. Tucker, Matthew Tucker, is because think about this. It's because Jesus said, I did not come to change the scribes or the Pharisees. And the scribes are the Democratic liberals, the Pharisees are the hypocritical religious Republicans today. He said, I did not come to change the scribes or the Pharisees. I came to fulfill. And he also said in the book of Matthew, if the scribes and the Pharisees have more righteousness then my people who are called by my name, then my people will not see the kingdom of heaven. So we're abandoning the flesh. It's not about Biden. It's not about Trump. It's about powers and principalities, evildoers in high places, meaning the individuals and entities that funds their operations. So I hope that, that I could put a little seed in there with you, Matthew, but let's continue to tap in and let's have these conversations because iron sharpens iron. Okay, now this is one-sided conversation. You are going to flip out, like that meme. Like I said, it is one, it is a one-sided conversation because this is not a debate. A debate is democracy. You got to basically, my candidate is better than yours. Your candidate is better than mine. We don't do that here. We seek solutions and resolutions. We come together as a people. We support America as a constitutional republic, and it says we the people. So we have to get along. We're not going to fight and argue and debate. So absolutely it's one-sided over here because we choose love. We choose God over the devil. We choose proud over pride. We choose righteousness over unrighteousness. So yes, it is one-sided. And like I said, please make a meme out of me so I can go viral because I'm trying to blow this channel up. So with that being said, let me see here. Facts, I appreciate that. Okay, then if you're putting your faith in Jesus, then how did that work out for the slaves? And okay, let me see, how did that work out for the slaves and how did that work for the Jews? Okay, faith in Jesus today, back then, and this is a Mike Musical Rehab and you're still on. Back in those days, the slaves, they couldn't vote. They were slaves. The Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1965. But think about this. There was a slavery clause. You remember, the chain gang and all of that stuff. So we didn't even really get a chance to address, our condition into the civil rights movement in the 50s when Rosa Parks decided to not get, to not move and they boycotted the buses and they desegregated the buses. And then Roe versus Wade came in, desegregated the schools. And then the Civil Rights Act came in and then they made it unconstitutional or not right to have whites only this, whites only that. So they could not express their rights. So we today have the Constitution and all the laws and bills have passed have been put into play where we can actually trust God now. Then it wasn't an option. And I'm going to give you some biblical context in the book of Genesis 15 and 14. And in that's New Testament, in the book of Acts of the Apostles, Acts 7 and 6, it says, listen, and this is why, because we was cursed as a people, literally. It says the children of Abram, which is Abraham, will be stolen from their land. They'll dwell in a foreign land and they'll be casted as slaves and duly oppressed for exactly 400 years. And then they said, I, God. Then it says, I, God, will destroy the oppressor, will punish the oppressors, and my people will come out with great wealth. So we got reparations on the table. Okay. And if you did not know, the 400-year biblical prophecy will expire this year on the 360 calendar. Because August 20th, the year 1619, the first documented transatlantic slave was documented in Jamestown, Virginia. So if you subtract 1619 from 2019, that's 400 years. But if you do it on the 360 calendar, that's this year. So putting our faith in God is the answer and the solution, because when our ancestors put their faith in God back then through slavery in Egypt and all that, they allowed us to get to where we are today, to express our constitutional right and write in our president of choice. And in this election, we'll be writing in Jesus Christ, just like in South Carolina, they wrote in D's nuts. So D's nuts got 9%. And the least we can do as blood-born washed believers is put in our Lord and Savior so he could trend at least in the double figures. And thank you for that question. Thank you for that question. Okay, you got me on. Okay, let me see here. You got me on your side. Hey, let's keep on, because like I said, righteousness over unrighteousness. Individuals want to come and debate and all that. A debate. Look at the prefix of debate. D sin, demote, demagogue, negative. Okay, you got to argue and fight. How you going to get to anywhere in life divided? To the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, which means undividable. with liberty and justice for all. So that means we are seeking unity, and we got an opportunity for the first time in our lives to do so, because this great phenomenon, the internet, social media, and these platforms are here. So now we can have these conversations. So I appreciate y'all, man. I love y'all. Let me see. Dude just said Roe versus Wade's desegregated schools. Oh no, yeah, I did, and that was a mistake, and I appreciate that. Roe versus Wade was the abortion. I'm thinking of the Board of Education statute, which is true. So I appreciate that, and keep on fact checking. That means that we, iron sharpens iron. So please, anytime that I misspeak, give me that conversation. Because the Board of Education, that was the one that desegregated the school, and Roe versus Wade is the Abortion Act. Okay, appreciate that, and thank you for that. I appreciate you. And dude, my name is Sean, Mr. Glover, Boo Sean, a Better Black America TV. Now, the slaves weren't the first people who accept Christianity. No, by no means. God been here since the book of Genesis. He's the creator of all. So I'm saying this is our first opportunity in the history of the world where we can actually use God to get to higher ground and become free. Not just pray to God, whoa, help us get through this days and keep on picking cotton, because clearly, when the Egyptians, when they got out of Egypt, they were cursed. So they hid in the wilderness for 40 years and recreated the same situation. So think about where we are today. We are free. So we don't have to vote for who they tell us to vote for. They can promote it, but we can vote for who we so shall choose. And we're going to do that this election. Okay, so we know, like I said, I love your comments. I love the trolls, because iron sharpens iron, and all you just doing is just making us better. Because when you stand on righteousness, you handle your business. The oldest known Bible is from 300 AD. It's Egyptian. That's fine. That's fine. But like I said, that's the oldest Bible. But we know God created all things, and he was here before all of that, and he gonna be here after that. So it's no debate. There's not no religious situation. We're not debating. We're not fighting. None of that. We love on one another because it takes unity to come together. So we seek solutions and resolutions to come together as a people, and we will do that. So I appreciate y'all. I got to get up out of here. So hit those subscriptions, hit the likes, run the likes up so we can actually hit that algorithm, and keep tapping in, because a better Black America, we're going to be talking about the politics, what's going on with the Democrats. And when you see the B.O. Glover show, it's going to be, more, entertainment, sports, politics, and money, literally off the record. But God's people shall not perish due to lack of knowledge. I had one come in, doesn't seem like we learn anything from slavery if we are reading the slave Bible than the putting our faith in Jesus. Not true. I read all of the context. And if you did not know, the Bible, King James kind of tore it all up, because as a black man, it talks about, it's a living word to me. And all the things that we're dealing with today, the Bible is a book of politics that contains religion. Okay, like you said, they wrote it. So if we study the book that they wrote 300 years after death of the politics that contains religion, then that's the same books that we need to read and follow to disseminate the destruction that they're putting on us today. So listen, it all works together. It all works together, because the Bible is a book of politics that contains religion. And if you love your enemies, and you keep your enemies closer than your friends and all of that stuff, but you got to study enemy. You got to know what they know, because that's the playbook they use, and that's the playbook that we use. But I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. And like I said, when we come together as a people, get on the same sheet of music, we dwelling in the good spirit, the Holy Spirit, something that's going to be, something that could get us to certain levels that no humanity has ever gotten. So with that being said, man, you have a great day. Man, I love y'all. King James Bible isn't the same. Like I said, you 1,000% right. We could go on and on. But like I said, I don't put my trust in their readings and their teachings. I study, I pray for discernment, and I use the Holy Spirit to guide me and to lead me, because no matter when that Bible was written, we all know right from wrong. Okay, we all know that. So do right by me as I do right by you. And at the end of the day, and I guarantee you, in that Bible and all Bibles, God said, love me with your heart, mind, and your soul. And secondly, love your neighbors. You love yourself, which means you got to love yourself before you love your neighbor. So with that being said, man, you have a beautiful day. This your man, Bouchon Glover. Peace out.